You're welcome back to this video. You're welcome, you're welcome, you're welcome. Am I not excited for you? I'm so glad that you have made up your mind to make that difference. You see, it takes one person with a conviction. It takes one person who has the conviction and has the commitment to follow through and has this personal leadership and is ready to commit to the things that work. That's what it takes to begin a change, a revolution in the world. All right, so let's quickly just go into this thing. What is communication? What is communication? And people will say is the transmission of the information or the thoughts or the feeling or whatever, is the transmission of information from one person to the other and being understood. I think that's a summary of everything. And being understood the same way you or the person had in mind to communicate or to share. That may not sound very academic, but as raw as that could sound or might sound, I want you to underline the word understanding. Now, what is the most important thing in communication? The most important thing in communication is not how much you are able to speak. It's not your prowess in the combination of words, because after all you have said what you have said and think that the person understands what you are saying, or think that you are going to get the result you expected and it doesn't happen, or the people are just wondering what you are trying to pass on, then you have not communicated. So my own summary of the word communication is understanding. Understanding. Now, this is what builds a society. This is what builds a civil society. This is what builds a world that people want to live in, where people want to be part of, is understanding. Now, let me start this way. Understanding starts with me. All right? I've decided to do it like nobody else has done, because I understand that you need those breaks. By the way, please get your notes. See, I take my time. That's why I'm not preaching at you. I'm not just giving a motivational speaking, because I want you to take note. I want you to make jotting. So if you didn't do that, it's the right place for you to pause this video and then pick your pen and jot. Put it in a hardcover note. Don't just write it on sheets of paper, because they might fly away. You might not find them again, but make notes. Make notes of this thing. And there are some of these teachings, especially if you're going to be part of the 6 weeks courses. There are some of the teachings I'm going to send in print form, and there's some assignment I need to give to you. And by the way, don't miss the next video. The next video, it's going to be something that you need to hear. I will keep building on the foundation we've laid. All right, we're going to make, we want you to understand. That is my aim for all this teaching, is so that you understand that many of the things that you are told or you have imbibed, the things you need to make some alterations. Why? So that you will have the kind of dream relationship that you are expecting. All right, so the communication starts with me. Now, when I say me, I'm talking about the first person. So if I am in a relationship and I'm always misunderstood, it means I have not been effective in my own communication. If I'm not getting the response that I'm expecting from this video, is because I need to understand how to communicate with you so that you can respond the way I expect. Practical. This is very classic. So if at the end of this teaching you are not able to take the kind of action that I'm expecting, chances are that I am not understood and I need to work on my communication ability. Every time you have communication in mind and you end up saying things and you stir up wrong action or wrong reactions from people, you feel totally misunderstood by the things you say, it's very likely what you had in mind is not what you actually said. Or what you said might be what you had in your mind, but the people or the person you are saying this thing to has heard you but has a different meaning. So you see that we have hurdles that we have to run, jump over to be able to communicate. The number one hurdle is within you, and that is the primary hurdle you have to jump over. It is your internal conversation. It's your intention. It's your motive. What do you actually want to achieve by what you are saying? If I want to ask somebody to pick something for me, and after all I have said, the person picks the thing and throws it away. What have I gotten? Was I able to communicate? Is it that the person was upset with me, or that the person just didn't understand what I meant, or the person heard something different from what I had in mind? So if I want to pass on some serious message or serious information and I say it in a very casual way, I'm likely going to dilute the effect, the result I want to hear. If I want to ensure that things are done orderly and I say it in such a way that people just feel it can be treated anyhow, that's what I've communicated. Do you know that you cannot not communicate? At no time do you not communicate. There are times you keep quiet, you are communicating. There are times you speak, you are communicating. There are times you pretend, you act, you feign ignorance, you are communicating. So anything you do, you are communicating. The way you keep your things, you are communicating. Your dressing is communicating. Now, at the end of it all, it is what you had in mind. So if every time you want to communicate, you're getting the wrong feedback, it's because your communication is not clear. And where it needs to start, the beginning point where that has to be clear is from within you. That is why in most of my teachings, what I really want to pass across is that if you understand, first and foremost, if you understand what you want, what is it I want to say? What is it I want to get? In fact, the first thing to do is, what do I want to get out of this thing I want to say? That's the beginning point. And you start from there and see how can I pass on the information to get the result that I want, to get the feedback, to get people to act the way I am expecting. If you are able to do that successfully and you get what you are expecting, the people understand what you are saying and take the action you expect of them, that is communication. And that is where many managers, many leaders find it very challenging. Hardly one outstanding leader that you know, or one person who does anything well, one person who succeeds in relationship that is happy and lasting, that does not have communication ability. It is something that you need to learn. Whatever profession you are in, wherever you are, you may not like to stand out in the public. You might not like to do the kind of thing I am doing, but you need to be skilled. You need the skill. You need to be skillful in your communication. If you are skillful in your communication, You are likely going to be able to survive the challenging moments that come into relationship. One thing people don't tell you about marriage is that it has challenges that are endemic in them. And in the next video, in the next module, not just the video, in the next module, I want to try and see how we can do we'll take a look at the hindsight. Where are you coming from? We take a look at where you are now. We take a look at how that will enhance where you are going. How will that enhance your life with another person? Your past. Did you have a rough childhood? Did you have a time you faced rejections? Were you always in an environment where you were enhanced? Do you have problems with self-esteem? Do you have problems with the belief system? So we'll take a look at where you are coming from, hindsight. We take a look at where you are now, and we take a look at where you are going. Now, that is to inform you that you need to be in the next module. You don't have to miss for anything. Don't miss the gold module, because it's going to be golden. All right. So, communication. Now, the first place to start the communication and to make sure that you achieve what you want. Now, if you have to start a relationship, you need to communicate. Now, many times people just base that on what you have to say to, for instance, a young man has to approach a lady. What will I say? And that seems to take most of the part. Listen, what you say has a very minimal percentage. What you have to say is not just what you are saying. It is the spirit in what you are saying. It is the attitude that in what you are saying, the gestures. You know, I'm excited about what I'm doing. I understand what I'm saying. And that's why the gestures. So you can see that it's not just the voice you are hearing, but the body language. Now, it's also the appearance. What you said goes to the destination, and then the destination gives you a feedback, and it agrees with what you originally had in mind. You have communicated. So that is communication. So communication is first and foremost an internal thing from the source. What was the intention? And it is most times complicated, because you might say something with the mind, this is what I want, but the other person has something else he or she thinks or believes. This is what you are saying. So it's important for you to be having a way to clear. Do you understand? Do you understand? That's a common question you may need to ask. Or did you get what I'm saying? Now, if the person doesn't, it's important for you to take her time now. So the most important thing in the communication is not just what you have to say, which is where many people make the mistakes. And let me tell you, if you don't work on your communication ability, you are going to find a lot of misunderstanding, because communication needs your ability to listen, your listening skill. Don't we assume that we are able to listen? We assume that we're very understanding people. We assume that it's people who don't understand us. This is one thing you need to work on. You need to work. I've said two things that are very important. That there's no communication without understanding. I have also said that the most important thing in communication is your ability. I mean, one of the most important things in communication is not just your ability to speak. It's not just that you say things. It's that you need to be able to give understanding by listening. By listening. Many times we are so much in a hurry to say what we want to say, and If the person understands or not doesn't really seem to matter to you. Now, in real marriage, in real life situation, in a marriage setting, you need to learn how to listen. That is one of the greatest gifts you can ever give to anybody. The ability to give people room to express themselves and not just say what you want, whether they understand you or not, whether they follow. You really want people to go along with you when they can't get along with you. That hardly happens. People can only go along with you if they can get along with you. Now, a man of understanding is able to make sense out of other people's languages. Now, understand, your language is your language. Your own ability to see the world, the way you see the world, is not the way everybody else sees the world. So what is important in this is for me to give understanding. The person I'm going to say this to, if I come out on black suit, what is that going to mean? Or if I dress in black throughout, does that mean anything to the person or the people I'm going to address? Do they attach any meaning to that? Because we are creatures of meaning. We are creatures of meaning, and the meanings that we give to the things that happen or we do are the things that stir up the feelings, the emotions. So if every time I believe I am communicating and I'm not understood, then I've ended up just wasting that time or maybe worsening things. So I need to learn the skill to be able to listen, understand, seek to give understanding. Seek to give understanding. And the more understanding you give, the lot easier it's going to be for you to communicate. I believe you have read the best-selling book of Steve Covey. If you haven't, I think you should. The seven habits of highly effective people. Now, you need to give understanding before you seek to receive understanding. Now, morally, for many people who are still having their own conscience not killed, their conscience are still alive, which I believe are the kind of people you relate with or you want to live with. Now, when you are always giving, I know that there's people who will take advantage, but that I'm not expecting that you will want to live with such a person. I know that there are people who will want to take advantage of the fact that you're always giving understanding, so they will want to take advantage of you. That should bring you to the point where we talk about how should the frame of your mind be. What else should you do if you meet with people who want to take advantage of the fact that you're always giving understanding? They want to abuse you, use you, disuse you. Now, what to do there is to also develop the ability to be assertive. To be assertive. Be able to pass on your message at the right time and be sure you are understood. And don't be unassertive. Well, to be unassertive is okay, alright, so that you won't feel this way. No, be clear about what is happening, but most times we are not understood. We are not clear about what we have to say. Because one is either we are having the fears on our inside, or we don't just have the ability to do it. And why don't we have the ability to do it? Because you don't know. So the best way to deal with fear is knowledge, which is what you're investing your time into. Now, the other thing that we need to understand here is that communication should be something that moves us forward. Communication should be the key. We use that as a tool to move from where we are to where we ought to be. Every time you see two people meet, they are people whose heads are talking to them. From the time you wake up, your head talks to you. From the time you wake up till you go to bed, your head talks to you. You have pop-ups of ideas, thoughts, they come. That's where most of us spend our time. And before you finish thinking about one thing, if you have not learned the art You discover you move from one website to the other and to the other. If you're not very clear about why am I here now, what do I want to achieve on this internet now, if you're not clear about that and give yourself time frame, you discover that you end up wasting the whole day, and that is your life wasted. So communication is key. Communication is key. The internal conversations you hold with yourself is so important. If every time you talk to yourself, you are talking to yourself as somebody who is not able or who is not capable, you are full of fear, you just wish, your wishes are full of fear. You know, you're afraid something might go wrong. You're afraid this will happen, and it's a negative thing. You're one of those who always paints the worst case scenario on your mind, or you're thinking of the other person as evil, or you see, the way you even think of the other person is going to affect the way you feel about the person and what you do with the person. Now this applies to both single and the married. If you don't understand how communication works as a single, you're going to take that into marriage. Why? Because marriage ceremony does not change anybody. Let me quickly inform you, most of the things that people think about marriage, when I'm married, I'll become happier. If you don't have a good communication ability, you will be unhappy. Let me also mention that as a single, you may feel lonely, but loneliness as a single is nothing compared to loneliness as a married person. Let me also inform you, some people think, oh, if we have children, then the children will become the basis for us being bonded together. That's not true. It's a myth. Children might actually come to split you if you do not learn how to communicate. The more your family expands, the more you need to increase in your ability to communicate. The ability to be understood and get the kind of result you expect. So if you're the kind of person who prefers always talking to yourself, and all the things you say to yourself are negative, they are full of catastrophe, you wish others evil and all that, those are the things that you will bring out. Remember that the words we speak only give sound to the thoughts that go through our minds. And it is also good to know that you need to seek to understand the person you are, or the people you are going to talk to, or the person you are going to talk with, so that you will be able to know, am I going to get the reply, the feedback that I'm expecting? If you are not understood, you have not communicated. Period. I appreciate that we have so many things that are contending for our attention and all that. Please, the first person to give your focus and attention to work on, so that you see what you want in your relationship happen, is you. Bottom line. The moment you understand that, and it will now be easy for you to know the problem might not be from my friend after all, might not be from my spouse after all. Now don't you get surprised. There are many people who are very good with oratory. They stand out in public and they do it so well. People clap hands for them because they are able to understand what they're saying, but at home they are not able to share what they have in their minds with their spouses. It's an art you need to learn. It's a skill you need to develop. And what do you do when you are not able to do this by yourself? You bring yourself under someone that can teach you. That is why we have this mentoring online program. It is intended to help you reach you where you are. Now, if you have any question concerning what we have just talked about, and I want you to get through to me, and how to do that is to ensure that your name is on the list, and then as I keep sending messages, you will have a place, a link where you can send your message to me. I want to believe that this has made sense to you, and I'm going to add some other video under this one, still as part of the things that you need to know to make your dream relationship come true. Let me thank you for taking all this time to listen to me, and remember that we are just at the silver model. So the next one will be the golden model. What will make it golden? We are going to look at where you are coming from. If you came with some luggages, emotional luggages, you don't understand what I'm saying, some bitterness, some hatred, resentment, fear, all the negative emotion, you don't understand what they mean by faith. And some people try to cover that up by saying, I'm a realist. I like to be realistic. Yes, you like to be realistic, but if you must move forward, you need faith. And if your faith is always blocked by fear, you will not be able to do it. I like to look at things realistically, but let us understand what is the true meaning of being realistic and what is the place of faith in our lives. Alright, so we'll take a look at where you're coming from. Are there people who were there, who had terrible experiences, who were abused as children, verbally, sexually, emotionally, and otherwise, and they are able to put their flag on top of the mountain today, and they are able to rise up from the bottom of the valley and get to the top of the mountain and put their flag there? Are there people like that? And what did they do? So we'll take a look at the hindsight, and we'll take a look at where you are presently. How is that helping you today? Is it making you uncomfortable with others? Or are you the kind of person who was striving to make sure you are independent, and you didn't mind anybody who stood on your way? You could bulldoze your way, you could push anybody, and now you have come to the point you say you think you want to settle down with somebody. How is that affecting you? And then we'll take a look at where that will lead you to and what to do to get the kind of result that you expect. I want to believe that this has been of help to you, and if it has, tell your friends and let them put their name on the form. When they do, let them put their name on the form. When they put their name on the form, then we'll be able to give them from the beginning the introduction, and then the silver module, the gold module, and the platinum. I want to thank you, and I pray that the God of heaven will bless you and make your day fruitful. Till I come your way again, remain blessed. Bye for now.